I just bought a new automobile the same way they did in the 1900s when movies were silent.
Wow. Well, I just got this Jeep from FlexCar.
All my smackaroos go to paying off the hefty value this little gas buggy lost the second I chugged out of the dealership. Toot toot.
Okay, well, FlexCar includes maintenance and insurance, and I can switch to an F-150 or Mercedes anytime.
What are you, high on giggle juice? Buying a car is supposed to be the bum deal you pretend is the bison's berries.
I have no idea what you're saying. The first and only month-to-month car lease. FlexCar, you drive everything.
Hi, I'm Renee Scherzer, and welcome to the Lightwork Podcast, a place for conversations about leadership, faith, purpose, and the deeper work that shapes who we become. Lightwork is the inner work that guides us. It's learning that success alone doesn't satisfy, and that the greatest legacy we leave isn't found in what we accumulate, but in the lives that we impact. Today's guest has spent decades helping leaders around the world discover that significance is always greater than success. He's a friend of mine. He is also, his name is Todd Boffo. So welcome, Todd. Todd is an international speaker, author, mentor, and purpose strategist whose passion is helping people live with intention and to leave a legacy that outlives them. Through his work, his ministry, and his newest ventures, Todd reminds us that every decision, every relationship, and every season leaves an imprint. And today we're going to talk about legacy, leadership, faith, and why the life we're building today become the story that others tell tomorrow. So it's a question that I often say is, what will live beyond us? So I'm so excited about this. Listeners, you're also privileged because you've got two Italians talking today.
So it's going to be a lively show. Get ready.
So, Todd, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We chatted as you were coming in, and I feel like I can already run 3 miles. So I have lots of energy. But one thing I've never known is, where did what was the younger version, and when did all of this, story of purpose take root?
I was gifted. Obviously, you're familiar with how Jesus was born. I'm the second one that came. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I always had this sense when I was growing up. I always had a love for people. My mom was by the time you were 4 years old, you were always talking to people and older people.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, every teacher will tell you. Let's just so many of you out there have the same story where didn't matter where you put me, I always talk. But I was always interested in people. Yes. But that said, I feel like I was 15 years old. I'm in Haiti. It's the poorest country in this hemisphere. Wow. My dad had sent me there, and it was a chance to go to work with this orphanage. And me and my buddy, Joey Sinelli, he was my best friend. We signed up for this trip. We're like, we're going to go help. And then they're like, okay, you need to raise money. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that.
And you're 15 years old.
I'm 15. I'm like, Dad, I thought you were paying for it. We're thinking we're going to the Caribbean on a nice trip. He's like, no, that's not what this is about. But what I didn't realize, a lot of times in life, these little decisions actually lead to something meaningful. And that was what happened on that trip. I came out of it, I was a rambunctious teen, into sports, was a clown and like to have fun.
Yeah, not surprising.
But there was something inside of me, honestly, I came out of that just thinking I do want to do something in life that actually helps people.
Yes.
I'm not going to be a missionary in another country, but I felt like that was the seed that really shifted something inside of me of there's a mission for me to accomplish.
That's beautiful. And for listeners who don't know you, first of all, Todd, as you've always been someone that I describe as is that you have so much energy and you have a way of relatability with people and how you can bring understanding of the Bible, those in the Bible, the stories of the Bible, into real life, actionable, energy or steps. And I think you have a fantastic gift in that. But one thing is your father. So people who don't know you don't know. Can you share a little bit about your father?
So my dad was amazing. Both my parents are amazing because my mom's going to watch this. So shout out, Mom.
Shout out to
He
Todd's
wouldn't have been who he was without her. But but no, truthfully, he was such a big voice in my life.
Yeah.
He passed away recently. But in my life, growing up, I got to see an example. And here's the great thing about it. It was somebody who didn't, had a great grandfather. They came out of the Depression. They were from Italy. Well, he was born here, but he was the first one to go to college. The first
Your
one.
Great grandfather.
My grandfather. Yeah, my grandfather. So my dad's dad. But then my dad, that generation, they just worked and they worked hard and they weren't necessarily present like from like touchy-feely. So for my dad, he didn't really have a training in that side of it. And then, he's growing up in Jersey, high school, like they're going to bars, arm wrestling in Camden, working at the Navy Yard. He went into the Navy. I'm born in Iceland there with my mom. Like, it's a crazy thing, right?
That's a whole nother podcast. I
know. Maybe you see the Viking now. It makes sense. What's been going on.
Complete sense, Todd. Complete sense.
But here's the point. Like, he had a point in his life where he was 28 years old, and he just said, hey, I need to be way more intentional with building my life. And I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good husband. And I don't know exactly how to do that. Like, I know how to work hard, but I don't know how to do that. And it was transformative for him. I only say that to say, really quickly, my dad just lived a great example. It wasn't just something we said because we felt bad because he passed away. He tried really hard. At the end of the story, like, everybody's going to have a last day with you. Yeah. And then everybody's going to have the reference point of what interactions they've had with you over a lifetime, right? Yes. So from a parent's perspective, I'll just put it this way. He'd say, more is caught than is ever taught.
Can you repeat that?
More is caught than is ever taught, right? So living a life and examples. And so it wasn't perfection. It was like, on my starting points here, how am I improving from here? Because everybody can improve. Yes, everybody. 100%. And there's a responsibility, I think, even biblically, when God creates at the beginning of creation, everything that we have in our life, there's an expectation and actually an opportunity to grow it.
Yes.
Grow as a parent.
Oh, 100%.
Grow as a person.
Yes.
Grow as a man. I don't know what it's like to grow as a woman, but I'm assuming you need to do that too. But there's an opportunity, whatever you have, to grow it with one life that you have. And so he lived this example of sacrifice, of service. He became a pastor. We got to see front of the scenes, behind the scenes. And so again, not perfection, but just of somebody of purpose.
I love that. And what a blessing for your mom, for you, and I know your brother, and then do you have one other sibling?
Yeah, a brother and sister. You have the best of the family right now, honestly. It was like, they had the best, and they're like, we love them so much, we don't want them to be alone. So we had a brother and sister. But no, they're great.
I know your brother, yes. And you're fantastic,
They
family.
Are great,
but
they're amazing.
I can only imagine how fantastic your mom is too. So and we'll be talking about the nonprofit as well, that your parents have had a big influence in, and that you and have, I believe your family too, has taken over, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it's remarkable, and you've gone through these seasons, and so what a blessing to have a father have that realization at 28 years old, because I think, as my father came over on the boat from Italy, and he was always working, he had hair salons, we were just saying earlier, and he never really had that guidance or that comfort of knowing really what his purpose was. And I even saw that in his passing. It was just, he was always looking for something different. So I always think what his life could have been different if that, because he was looked at everyone as children of God. Everybody had a seat at the table. As Italians, he always said we could throw another box of pasta. Throw another box of pasta in. So we would sit at dinner, and it could be our gardeners, it could be partners, it could be anyone. And that was one of the biggest gifts he left me. And so I think for him, though, there was that struggle of what his purpose was as a parent. So for you as a parent, this is something that I'm sure you carried with you.
Yeah. And that said, just because you may have had somebody, let's say I have two great parents, doesn't mean life's going to be easy, because I still got to live it out.
Yeah.
It's like losing weight. Like, everybody knows how to lose weight. Like, I know where the gym is. I have a membership. I've even driven by it several times. But unless you show up and do the work,
physically,
apparently it doesn't work with just paying a membership.
Knowledge.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Knowledge doesn't get the LBs off.
Yes. So, for his life and for that example for me, it was good. But the lesson for us, what I would say is, like, for me to be a better parent is, like, I still have to carry this. And it was hard. We had a lot of struggles with our daughter. We had some stuff happen to her when she was real young that she didn't ask for. We didn't find out till she was 16, some really bad stuff. So it just through turmoil. And this is what the challenge is. This is for every single person watching this, or you'll resonate with this. Yeah. There is no manual for life to just say what's going to happen. There's the things we choose that sometimes it works out great. There's things we choose that don't. Exactly. And then that life that happens that we never chose, but it chose us.
Yes, I love that. Chose us, because going through colorful journeys, that is life. And I think one of the things of this podcast, I think I shared with you as well, was I want people to hear and be a part of these discussions, to have more grace on others. Yeah. Because you never know what people are going through. Yes. And also, sometimes you miss the opportunity of meeting really remarkable people. So now, maybe not you if I had your brother. No.
Right. Well, that's true.
I had to do that. I had to say something.
But you're right, because behind every face, there's a drama. And let me just put it to all the end of the, pain doesn't discriminate.
No.
So
well, and I also feel like we are entrusted with some of those challenges because there's a lesson we need to learn, and we keep putting in those challenges until we actually learn the lesson. I feel like that happened to me the last few years.
Yeah, that's really good. And we talked about this. If there's a, how I view something is how I treat it, right? I don't have to be thankful that things happen to me, but I can choose gratitude in it. Going through it. Yeah. And then I can choose, like for me in my life, I was like, I'm not going to let, I was at the lowest of the low I could possibly ever get in my life after what happened to my daughter when I found out, because I felt like a failure as a dad. It was a whole bunch of stuff, and we ended up moving here and everything. However, that said, I have a choice. How am I going to, pain's a motivator.
Oh,
what's it motivating me to do?
Yes.
So for me, it was like, I'm going to use this. Somehow there's going to be I just kept saying to myself, even in tears and pain, I'm like, somehow this will be used to help somebody else. And you know how many times I've sat with somebody, or somebody called me and said, can you talk to this person? They're going through the same thing. Unless you've gone through something, how are you going to help somebody?
How do you sit with someone in pain if you've never experienced pain? And just so you know, when you showed up in the Jersey boy showed up at church, you were such a light. I walk in and instantly I was drawn, and I think I just went in for the hug when I met you because it was just, that was your warmth. And so, people think also struggle exists in other places, but they exist here. We all own them. We experience them, and that's why we have to look at each other through the eyes of God as children of God. And I think you do that so beautifully. And so you've been through all these seasons of life, and you've been, where some people, and I see and being in financial services for over 30 years, a lot of people keep their lives siloed. People, who they represent. And they're very uncomfortable showing up as their authentic self. So they'll keep their faith hidden. They're afraid to say something about their faith. They'll keep that. Maybe they have an interest outside of the, say, finance field I'm using, because that's my example. Maybe they're actually very passionate about some other area, but they're afraid to ever show that. And you've done that. You've worn all those hats. You wear all those hats. What advice would you give to somebody that is concerned about showing up as themselves in their lives?
One of my favorite phrases, I use it a lot, it's a Latin phrase. Now, in high school, I was not a good student, so let me not sound academic here. Like, if they gave out grades for social skills, I would have been a champ. I would have been in National Honor Society and Dean's List. But unfortunately, they didn't weight that into the 2.9 English average. And I'm like, I'm born here. I know English. How do I have a 2.9 in English?
We're going to get to your second book in a minute, but I like how you said you weren't an English person, because I just, launched my book and I wasn't either. It took me 3 times to pass.
There you go. See that? Come on, let's go. Yeah, we're changing the world.
Yes.
No, but the phrase is esse quam videre.
Can you repeat that?
Esse quam videre, and it just means to be rather than to seem. So on a core level, what I would say is, we tend to compartmentalize life for lots of different reasons. Sometimes it's protection. We just live like, I can't open this because this happened before, or I don't want people to know that, right? Yeah. Or the competition, I need to compartmentalize this because I don't want to seem weak, or I don't.
That's exactly.
I want to be so focused, like I'm going to be like the top dog, I'm going to be like this. Or, there's a myriad of reasons why. Yeah. But from a core, here's the thing. When you start defining yourself, and I think it gets easier when you're older, because when you're younger, you're still figuring your life out. It can be done at any level. Yeah. But in this internet world that we live in the world that we live in with Instagram, so esse quam videre just means to be rather than to seem. So it's like, I just want to be rather than to seem like something. The more authentic I can be,
I love that.
the more on mission I'll be, the more successful I'll be, because the truth 100%. Is, we talked about on the phone, like, I'm not everybody's flavor. There's a reason there's vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, and sorbets. Like, it's like
there's frozen yogurt.
Yeah. Now we got, gluten-free, whatever it's got. So like, there's a reason for these things.
Yes.
And in the same way, it's not about trying to broadcast everything to everybody. It's to be.
Yeah.
And that is so freeing, even for some of the most successful people I've worked with. It's very hard, because the more successful you get, and some of you people are going to, the higher you go, the smaller your circle kind of gets.
Yeah.
And the more, things can get like this.
Compacted.
And it has to a degree. However, you don't want to lose yourself in the mix.
Yes. Well, and that's a huge thing, is losing yourself, because I found even, having a successful career, selling a business, we sold our businesses. I'm in new charter territory. So I left an industry after, that was my identity for 30 years since I was, 19 or 30 plus years. And
well, you're 33 now.
Yes, I am.
Fine.
So I did it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Let me wait, hold on. Let me do the math.
It's no sense to brag.
I could do make no sense to brag. But I have to say that once I started bringing my authentic self into my client relationships, into the industry. Now, I did get some backlash sometimes, not from clients, but from people, maybe judgment. Not from people I'd get advice from. Right. But I've always been one to stand up for what's right. I've always been one to, I used to think my failures or things that had been part of my story were weaknesses, and then I learned they were my strengths.
That's good.
And the more I did it, the more I excelled, and then the better I felt. And now I'm in this uncharted waters that are, it's like this. I've never felt more fulfilled because I started listening to that voice, to God, to spending that peace and that quiet. Yeah. Do you find there are a lot of people that are struggling today, as I was, maybe playing small, being compartmentalized, and not knowing what to do to not feel that? They're almost they're afraid that if they get off that ladder, they're going to miss something.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's think of it this way: when Renee is 5 years old, she's got crazy dreams. When Todd's 5 years old, could do anything. You didn't have now there's a naivete to that, but then there's an element to it that because you live life, you learn risk. Now there's a part to that that's really important because you're learning. Yeah. But the very thing that becomes a strength to us can also be a weakness.
Exactly.
And especially when it comes to risk, people just become risk averse. And it's a couple things. One, people can talk about finances and stuff, but I'd say the core, it's not really money.
I don't think
because
so.
If you really believed, that wouldn't even be an issue.
Exactly.
Right? Like we see people do that all the time. Yeah. And I'm preaching to me. I've had to walk through this too. Yeah. So if there's something,
that uncomfortable feeling that scares them.
Yes. And so you've lived different seasons of your life, and those have worked out, and you've overcome. And it's you get to a certain place in life, and it could be in your 40s, it could be in your 50s, and some people get it 30. Yeah. But then it's like, okay, I have this, and it's pretty good. Yeah. I don't need to risk everything but the problem is there's this nagging sense inside of a lot of people where it's like, I feel like there is something else, but I'm not sure how to get there.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the book later. I mean, that's why I wrote the book. Yeah. So
I love that. Mine was driving up Scottsdale Road. I was like, I had perfect day by all accounts, had everything I had set up, my eyes out on to be. And when I was younger, I wrote 100 goals. And the only one I haven't been on is Oprah, that I've said repeatedly. So if anyone knows Oprah,
Come on, Oprah, get it.
And, but I couldn't even think of a goal. I completely lost myself. And that was 2 years ago. And now look at me now. I'm living so much more fulfilled.
Okay. This is so funny you brought that up. So 2 nights ago, we're in Paradise Valley. I'm in a mastermind. I just jumped in to speak, right? And there's some great ladies there. And I'm just doing a small part. Of course, I brought a little Italian dish too. I brought a little side thing because they were like, I make this grilled vegetable. We call it like this. It's a made up thing. Yes. But it's roasted pepper, eggplant, zucchini, Italian plum tomato, red onion, asparagus, and then you throw a little piece of fresh mozzarella in there.
That is
and there's pesto.
magical.
So it's really colorful. It looks really good, but it tastes amazing if you like vegetables.
Yes.
So I brought it. So I was instantly kind of
fan favorite.
Yeah. I was already okay, who's this guy? He seems awesome.
Yeah.
No, but we were talking, and I was sharing, and really in the middle, and I was off script, and we were just talking about how at some point in many people's lives, they've just managed what they needed to, and you needed to do it. Like you have to take care of your kids or your family or hardships in life. And so it requires your energy, your emotion, your attention.
Yes.
The problem is that at some point it squeezes out a little part of you, and that's the part to dream again. And I said, one of the exercises I do in my Print Pathfinder deal with our coaching is just dreaming and what do you really want? And I said, really quick, I'm not going to ask you to write it down, but I just want you just to kind of expose it a little bit. How many of you right now could list off 10 things that you really want, not to do with your kids but like you? Yeah. And one of the ladies, she was talking, and it was like, she was teary, but she's like, I can't think of one.
That's where I was.
And it's very common. It's not the exception. It's kind of the rule.
I know. So everyone listening, if you can think about that, just do that exercise of sitting down and just list 10 things. It's remarkable how you never even think about that. And I got a compliment from my daughter it was yesterday, who said, "You are so much more patient and so much happier than you were before." And I said, "Before what?" And she just said, "In the last, just since I've left corporate." So even though I was still doing the work these last couple of years, and that's, what led me to write my book, is it, I just think the world needs to hear stuff like this.
Yeah.
And there's too many people that are struggling, and I didn't realize, even though I was getting better, I was still not fully there because my environment didn't align with who I had become.
Right. And let me submit this to you. And I shared this with you before when we talked earlier this week. The other part is we're going to live seasons of life. If you really look at it, like once you get up to be like, I'm 40 for the 16th time.
Yes.
It's for, of course.
Yeah, it's your 19th birthday of turning 21.
Yeah. But you're going to live a lot of seasons in life. And they have start dates and they have end dates. Okay. And so nothing that you work with your work, right? It's going to just be forever. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you, like, couple quick signs, if it's like, hey, maybe this is a sign that I'm supposed to change, like all of a sudden things that were easier and you could kind of run with, they don't feel the same. And I'm not just talking about like a bad week or you have a bad boss or just that. I'm saying it's like this is the pattern, right? We're looking for patterns, not just a moment of uncomfort.
Yes.
The other thing is, I would say it like
so patterns of not feeling that feeling. And
yes. And it's just like, I'm going through the motions. I sat with a guy, he had sold his business like $50 million. He's like, I'm doing good. I like my kids. I love my love my wife.
I hope he likes
most days. Yeah. And no, I joke, he loves his kids. But it's like, I'm trying to figure out like, what's my next, I could keep building business. It's not wrong. And I enjoy doing it, but I don't have the same sense. And I'm not depressed necessarily. I'm a little bit disengaged. And so those are signs. You know what it is? It's like when your check engine light comes on your car, it doesn't tell you what's wrong. It just tells you something's wrong, right? So, it's like, it doesn't feel the same too. I believe, because as a Christian, I'm like, God gives us a grace to do what we're doing. You are hardwired. You never asked to be good at what you were good at. Right. You sharpened the axe and you got better. Some of the people watching this, they've gotten really good at what they're doing. And they've done it for a certain period of time. And then there's going to come a season where it's like the grace to do that anymore, even for God's grace to be there, it's moved.
I love it.
So I only have a real grace to be where I'm supposed to be, with who I'm supposed to be with in the time frame or in that season. So like, if there's more inside of me, it can't grow. In an environment I was in yesterday. It's got to grow in an environment that's meant for tomorrow. Well,
and that's where I tell my kids, I said, create your circle around people where you're going, who you want to be.
It's really good.
And that's one thing that, I told you in this new group I'm in a master class, I was like, oh my goodness, these are people I would never have met before, and they are inspiring me. And it's expanding my circle, because I still have like fantastic friends from, years in my industry, but now I'm expanding, and it's more colorful with people from different areas, different walks of life, and it's remarkable. So seasons, is there any particular season that you went through that was a turning point for you, or that sits with you as almost maybe not an anchor, but something that launched you?
Besides when the Philadelphia Eagles were like, hey, we want you to play for us. And I was like, you know what? I don't think it's my path.
It's not your
I
path.
had to turn it down because I'm humble.
Todd Boffo
and I was like, you know what?
Yes.
I know you want me to start. I said, it's not, I'm afraid of who I'll become. Because I want to be
too much attention.
Too much attention. I'm like, I'm not about that. I'm more of a quiet Italian.
Right.
I'm subtle.
You're the one that likes to sit on Sundays.
I'm casual. No, but no. Okay, so I'm 19 years old. My dad's a pastor. I've gone to culinary school, worked in food business. We launched a whole food line program, which was incredible. Did some really cool stuff. And then it was like, but I knew there was something inside of me. Remember I said that inkling of mission, helping people. I knew I would have doing something in church as well as business. I just knew it. I felt like I had these two hats. My grandfather was primarily business. My dad was kind of business, but church. And I felt like I'm kind of carrying these two mantles, so to speak, or these two gifts that I didn't ask for. It just did. So, but I was so scared to be in front of people and talk. I hated it. Like I was scared to death.
It's so surprising.
I know. Now you're like, we're going to wrap it up. like literally on the way here, I'm late partially because I see somebody I knew.
Oh, it cracks me up.
But I introduced you.
Another Italian.
Yeah. But I was always like that. But to get on stage, I was like scared to death. And so I had somebody a pitcher from New York. He had prayed for me, and a good friend of my dad's, and he just was like, hey, this isn't, you're going to be you. You're not going to be your dad and all these other great men. Because I'm like, they read a lot of books.
Yes.
I don't read a lot of books. Yeah, they're like, and I love the fact that.
And now you've written 2 books.
Yeah, now I've written 2 books. I haven't read them, but they're good.
I think they're good.
I just listen to them. No, but it's like, I love when he came up with like leaders, they're like, hey, leaders are readers. And it's like, no, leaders are learners. So once that phrase came out, I was like, I like that better.
I also think leaders are readers.
Yeah, I do think they are, but leaders are learners.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but it was like, you're going to be, for whatever reason, in the moment he said that, it's something inside of me was like,
I love it.
Like, okay, you can do this and God's meant for you to do it. The things that you're really good at, you never asked to be good at. Nobody ever asked you what size you want to be. What do you want to do? You are really good. Everybody's a 10 at something. And you come alive when you do it, right? To some extent. It's still hard, but you do it. And so that was the beginning for me of like, okay, because it was more about purpose. Yeah. I wouldn't have put it that way when I was a kid, but it was just like,
that's what was
but that's where even the Prince came from. I think that was probably another piece that was like planted in me about, hey, because how am I going to talk something I didn't live? Right?
100%.
I love that. Anyway.
Well, it also sits with you differently. Like, writing a book, and I did a short video on this, and I said, when you write your book, you're putting your whole life out there. You almost feel like you're standing in front of everybody without your clothes on. Yeah. Because it's so vulnerable. Yeah. To put that in there. And so I'm excited to read Prince. That's coming out in September, and we'll dive in more. Yeah. Because it's just listening to you and listening to, I told you got me through a workout this morning listening to your podcast.
Oh, cool.
Because you have a gift in just fully being 100% in it for the right purpose and wanting someone who's listening to live a better life. And you talk about legacy isn't something we when we get to, we have our trust and we leave a legacy to, Arizona State University. Right. But it's each moment. How are we living each day? And I think a lot of people like leaders. So we have a lot of leaders that are in my network that listen, that I know are a little bit struggling because they're climbing and climbing and climbing, and they've lost a bit of themselves. So if we look back, they forget what is the purpose of what I am doing, because now I've got a family, I've got responsibilities, I've got a team. What is a question they should ask themselves, or what's something that they should sit with this week? Yeah,
so I would think, so there's a lot there, so I'll try to answer that quickly. How much time we have left?
I added an extra part of that, so I don't know how that came out.
No. So one of the things, let's use the guy as an example that I was having lunch with and like trying to coach through a moment. First of all, let me just say, hey, when you think about shifting your life, the change happens in an instant because the change is here. All of a sudden, I'm start leaning. That's in an instant. The legacy is built in a lifetime, right? So we're not going to build it tomorrow. But part of it is reflecting and taking back, like stepping away from everything, I think, and asking myself, it's going to sound repetitive, who do I want to be? What does that person look like? What is that like? Defining some of those things, because it's already in you. Here's the thing, guys, it's already in you.
It's free.
It's already there. Free. Yeah, it's free. You're meant to do this. Yeah. So whether you're, we were in Thailand in January, going back in December. A guy's got has multiple businesses. His son's taken over, married a nice Italian girl from Jersey, their son. Yeah. So anyway, great young couple. Yeah, right. I was exit 4, but they funded this program. They've saved over 1,000 girls. Right now there's 135 acres. There's a church on property. Then they have about 135 to 140 girls there. And right now, as we're sitting here, they're there, 4 to 16 years old, that had a life of it. If somebody doesn't rescue them, that's just their life. They have no other advocate for them. And so, and now they're building on to the next phase of this, where they're helping after they graduate high school and college, and help them get into life, helping people get into business. It's funded through their business. They're not pastors.
That's
remarkable. They're people. People are the church, right?
I love these stories.
They didn't do it for
accolades.
No, it was like, hey, we can do this. We just felt like, my point is, he would have never scripted that. If he was here, he would say, it wasn't a plan or some big, huge thing that I could. And I think some of that, it's like, you have to leave room in the corporate world and these things, there's so much about planning and control, which is important, has to be that way to a degree.
Yes.
But to allow new things in, that means I can't control it and I have to be more open and start. Guess what? And I'll close with this. You ask the right questions, you get the right answers. If I'm open. Yeah. Right? And how many leaders have you seen in running an organization? Like, you're not asking the right questions, dude. Like, you just keep missing it. Well, or you're not willing to hear the answer.
No,
right?
And a lot of leaders surround themselves by other people that provide the same answers they want. So they're not willing to be challenged with someone who thinks differently. And I think, to me, that is one of the biggest errors or mistakes leaders make, is it doesn't let them see broadly and have, a bigger impact. What would you say is the biggest? You've talked to so many leaders and athletes and your span of through your life, you've talked to people. What do you see as one of the biggest mistakes that leaders in any form are making or tend to make?
Right. So, this is so crazy. We talk about this too, because again, we're talking about that kid who didn't want to be on stage anywhere, and then God's allowed me to be on stages all over the world and from big crowds. It's crazy, right? Yeah. I went to university. Did we put that in my bio? Went to the Italian university. What's the matter, you?
What's the matter?
Yeah, I had an MBA, doctorate.
I think it's on this next
Do they have a double doctorate? And what's the matter, you? I got that. So I would say, I would answer it differently a little bit, because there's difference between newer leaders and mature leaders. But let's just go with some of what I coach, like say some people that are already leading. What I say, I think a lot of it is releasing and picking up what's really most important for you today going forward. For you, not just organizationally. You're growing. You got to keep growing. What is it you need to let go of? What is it you need to pick up? Because at every level, we have to change.
100%.
So one of my mantras is hey, you build the person, you build the business, you multiply your mission. So people are really good at building their business. They're not good at building themselves. No. Or maybe they do a lot of personal development. They're good at building themselves, but they're not really great at building the business. Yeah. So what does that look like? Well, okay, if I'm building the business, I need to, but asking yourself, because you could have been really good at it at certain seasons, but I think if we're growing, we're constantly in this balancing act of our life. So let's say this table is my life, whatever I have in my life. So if I have a family, if I have kids, I have health issues, I have parents. At this age, I was helping take care of my parents. Yes. That's a whole nother thing, right? Exactly. So these are balls that I'm juggling. And I'm juggling. I just want to make sure I don't keep dropping the same one. Yeah. And so from a perspective of leadership, it's the hardest person to lead is yourself. Oh,
that's a John Maxwell quote too.
Yeah. Which is my hero. He's my hero. Yeah.
I love that. So one of the things too that I think is one of the balls that people tend to drop is family. And one of the reasons why I'd gone and did my own business was I was at the big wirehouses and working a ridiculous amount of hours, and I wanted to be a mom, and I had financial goals. And so when I looked around, I sat with a lady at a lunch who was the CEO, or a very impressive attorney, was the president of this big national women organization, and I asked to sit with her at lunch, and after sitting with her, she didn't have a relationship with her kids or her spouse. And I thought, that's not leadership to me.
Right.
So that's the other thing, is when they're juggling, sometimes they're dropping the most important balls until they wake up and their kids are
it's a great
15, 16, 17
so that is a big thing. And let me just say this. It's never too late to fix it.
Oh,
it's never too late to make a decision. I did a funeral for somebody, lost their 26-year-old son. And we were having a conversation. And great guy, and he was talking about how they had lost a child early on, and him and his wife, and then they got divorced, but then he got remarried. But anyway, they started a company with a partner, and they did great. Company's crushing it, but he was like, I just had this sense that I need to be at home more. Now this isn't for everybody. This is why, I call it Prince, because it's a unique to you. So you're running your race. Yeah. It's going to be unique to you to some degree. Right. So for him, he said, we're sitting in there, and I'm writing down notes because I'm doing this son's funeral. And so he said, Todd, I realized that I wanted to be present. So I went to my business partner real close. I said, hey, listen, man, I know we're crushing it. I want to be there for my kids as they're going up in high school. I just want to be present before they go to school. After school, I want to coach. Yes. How can we work? And thank God, the guy was like, absolutely, we'll work whatever out. We'll work it out.
That's the right partner.
Great partner. He had to go through high school. He had all these moments to travel, to be at him for a sports thing. It's not the big things. It's just being present, right? It's this heartbreaking story. But he sat there with tears. We were in Buck and Ryder, and he's like, but thank God I made that decision. I didn't know that I was going to lose him at 26. When I sat in the hotel room, hotel room with my dad dying. That sounds weird. No, he was in the hospital. He probably wished he was in a hotel room. But it was like all he cared about. My nephew he goes to Pepperdine. He was in Florence.
Yes,
So he did a whole year in Florence. Yeah. So he was coming back. It was all this stuff. And so all he wanted to do was talk. And you know what we talked about? We didn't talk about business deals or like, hey, when this big thing happened, he primarily, he was strong, but like he was also passionate. And he was like, I'm just so grateful for the life with your mom and life. And he's like, God's blessed me so much. But then I was like, Dad, but you also made some choices, and nobody's perfect. I guess the point is, to me, it's just never too late. It's never too late to make the right, even if you've blown it, or even if what do you want to be?
Yes.
What do you want to have in your life? Yes. You're creating it. You can build whatever you want. Nobody's making you do anything.
Well, and I think when I was younger, I went through different seasons of challenges like everybody does. And I remembered I'd always go and smile no matter what. And everyone always was, my nickname would always be Smiley.
Right.
And when they would hear later on of the struggles I went through, they said I would never have known. And I thought, when you project outward is also what you start feeling inward. And I think I wanted people when they heard my name to think of joy. And I didn't want to leave, another feeling with them.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when Pat, Ethan's dad, was dying at 53, what I spoke about was how he made people feel. It was not any of the accomplishments we taught and trips we took, and trips he had been on with Ethan, and memories he made with his family, and that was what mattered. And I think people are thinking, I'll get to it next year. I'll get to it when I retire, and people don't wait. But I want to make sure we get to Prince, because I do, and it's not Prince, Prince.
No, not like Prince, like the king of pop.
Well, and also who's out here, right there. Who's the producer. Prince, Prin.
Like a fingerprint.
Yes.
Yeah.
TS. So you said a little bit about what inspired you to write this book, but this is first, share with the book, who would read this book? Like what would be, and what was something that you wanted the reader to feel?
So many conversations over the last 25 years, but just talking to different people, and this is life experience. I want to thank everyone for their hardships
Dr.
and my
Joe,
own.
I listened to the podcast. He was fantastic. I heard he's in the book.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where I was like, most people wake up. Here's just a general description of the avatar. Yeah. Wake up, look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, my life's not trash. It's pretty good. But I know I'm not living exactly what I should be living or what I could be living, but I don't even know how to get there. I'm not sure what that looks. Maybe I feel like I lost myself a little bit. Yeah. It doesn't mean like, again, everything's terrible, because actually I probably have some good things in my life. I should be thankful. A lot of people would love my life.
Comparatively.
Honestly.
Yeah. Everyone always asks, well, how do I compare?
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
So, but the book really hits on, you have one life. A print is designed between 10 and 13 weeks. A baby's print is formed, right? So it never changes. So God gave you something so unique that's only you. And, what do we live? We leave our prints everywhere. And so if that's true, then my life has meaning because I was meant to be here. You already beat the odds by being born. And you're unique. Even twins, they can't have the same one. Even my brother and sister, even though they're less than, they're actually still good. Right? Like, they're still good people. They can make a mark.
They're going to love you.
Yeah. I love it when I have the mic and they don't. No, but the truth is, like, what if actually you were made for more? Like, what if there was a reason for some of these seasons in your life? And don't neglect, especially for those people that have, like, I deal with a lot of people with platforms, like they have businesses, or they've accrued all this knowledge, right? And so you have an incredible, don't discount that. Maybe that's going to be used for something good. If you build businesses, then maybe you keep building businesses, and we just add a little piece to it, to the why. And all of a sudden we already know, like, it's been around for a decade of, hey, why matters. So I do this for a reason, right? If I have a reason to do it, the reason not to do it won't really happen. I'll get through it, right?
Well, and I love. The why, it does matter, because I think that's where people get the lost and stuff too.
Yeah. So if you don't answer your why for your season now, the hardest thing is like riding these seasons from one thing to the next. Yes. That's where I'm meeting people, and that's where like coaching and helping walk, even speaking, because I do corporate speaking, and some of it touches on that, right? Which is really good. But you would be shocked how many people you look at it, and you're like, yeah, but you're doing all these things, you're doing this and that, and they're like, I am, but I feel like I'm Why? Because everybody's supposed to be growing. It's not about it's not your balance sheet. That's important, but it's not the most important, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't not matter. You need money for some things, but
Exactly.
what if, another guy in my book, Kenny, 200 projects around the world, 30 different countries, orphanages. This guy's never going to get on stage and speak. He's not interested in any of that. But him and his wife decided, hey, they built a house for somebody, a church in Mexico one time, and then that sped into other things. And guess what happens? The more you do that, all of a sudden you're using the gift God gave you. Yes. And so he kept building business. They've been blessed. They have, deals that come to them.
Yes.
They're not, because the why is the money was never just for me. I have enough for me. I have the foundation for my kids. I have trust for my kids. They're all good. Yeah. Now let's look at the world. And now the why becomes even more than just, hey, I want to do a little good. And I'll close in this. I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, I love this.
But there's one of the chapters is a difference between being a blesser and a builder. Mm-hmm. Blessing is like, I'm doing things for people. And that's like relief efforts. It's not wrong, but it doesn't build things long term. When you build things long term that are a blessing, it will always be a blessing. And some of the most the people watching this, people like you guys, you and Chris, that you have an opportunity to actually build something because you already think a certain way. Yes. You've already built, you've already scaled. All of that stuff matters. Yeah. So why wouldn't God use that to help make the world a better place? And you say, hey, why not? Why wouldn't God do that? Well, and why not you?
Well, I think that's what people, they see the limitations, or they always think, well, you're good at that. You can do that.
Right.
And I think when I was younger, I've always believed in, I think I was put through challenges because I was able to sit with people through crisis, because I lived in crisis. And so people always were saying, well, but you're good at that. And I thought, find out you're good. What's your good? You know, what does it mean? And now, leaving an industry and building a company and being blessed, I always tell people too, God gives you more if you steward what he's given you in the right way.
So good. Yeah.
And I think, and so I've always talked to people about money. It's because that's financial services is what I've done. And I just always tell people, be a good steward with your dollars, because you'll be blessed for more. And it's what is your, how do you look at that? What is that? If you're looking and that's what you're striving for, that is what your goals, and you idle,
right?
Then it's going to bring you down this ugly path.
Yeah.
But if you take a step back, and someone said this to me, and I stole it from him. It's the slingshot, like you said, take a step back so we can launch forward. And I think that sitting back and reading the book, and it comes out early September.
Yeah, second week of September.
And so when this comes out, it'll be a few weeks. There is something you said too within the printmaker. You said there is also a roadmap. Yeah.
So if we're going to build something new, we need a plan, right? Like I live in Fountain Hills. We grew up in Jersey. We had a few of the same types of houses. There was like 4 different style houses. Now we live in Fountain Hills. You're like, people bought land.
Built.
Nobody shows up like, hey, let's get our shovels, let's build a house. Nobody does that. Like, you have to have a plan. Yep. So it's like, how do you develop the roadmap for the next part of your life? And I'm not there to help people with their marketing plans or their necessarily business strategy. No, like I'm talking about, again, build the person, build a business. You're going to multiply your mission and your effectiveness in life and your sense of purpose. So so what it helps do, it really breaks it down, and it's individual to where somebody is right now. And what if, again, listed as what if questions. What if we could just get rid of these nagging feelings and actually put some feet to it that really fits you, and that really God put some things in you. And whether you believe in God or not, even people that like, I don't know if I believe in God, I'm like, that's okay, but there's a reason you feel the way you do. Let's figure it out. Why would you want to die and be like, man, I was like 70% of what I could have been. You know what I mean?
No, how horrible to feel that way.
Yeah, and I don't think, it's not like you're not going to go to heaven because of that. I'm just saying you have one life. I'm not trying to earn anything, but it's like there are people right now. I was in the hospital with somebody, a good friend. He passed away. He's 40s. His name was Terrence. His wife Kay. They have 2 kids. Incredible family. He left his corporate job to go do his dream. He's like, I want to do detailing. And I'm like, all right, so he's a mobile detailer here in Scottsdale. A lot of people that know him loved him. Everybody knew him, loved him. And he had cancer, and he passed away. And all we were doing towards the end, he was just praying for a miracle. And if not, I know I'm going home with God, praying for another day with his kids, praying for another time, like to be like, and this is not dramatic. It's not like trying to build up something. That's real. Yeah, it's real. Like, and now we have breath in our bodies. And so it's reframing this and saying, I have something to live for. I need to discover it and live it.
and not wait for tomorrow. So Terrence didn't expect that he was going to pass prematurely and leave his wife and kids. And prayers to Terrence's family. But that's where people always think, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it when I retire. I talk to so many people through retirement. It's like, oh, when I get to retirement, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Well, Patrick never got that opportunity, and we've lost others very young. That is just doesn't there's no time in today, and that's for me, I found the energy in taking 20 minutes with God every morning and just sitting in quiet, and there was a clarity that happened. So you also, I know you do so much. You have such a. I mean, your wife, she probably, I don't know if she has much as energy as you have, but you also
surprisingly, no, she's very, I do too much. There's not room for her to talk.
So she anchors you a little bit.
No, she's literally, we've been driving home from somewhere and she's been like, haven't you used all your words for today yet? It's funny you mentioned that.
I'm going to give you a word count.
It's like the total different. We're sitting in a marriage thing one time and they're like, hey, the woman talks so much and the guy's words, and she's like,
nope.
Not in your case. She's like, they haven't met you yet. And I'm like, guilty.
I love that.
Yeah.
So but you also though have a mentorship community.
Yeah. So a couple things. So printmakers, it's twice a month. We just jump in on a Zoom. There's a leadership lesson.
Yeah.
And then we can have guests that come in, and it's just a way to stay connected. Look, you feed what you want to grow. You starve what you want to die. You mentioned it, circle matters. Who you're with matters, the voices, the people. And if you want to grow something, you probably are going to need to see a shift in some of that. Doesn't mean everybody's gone and I'm just, but no, I want to grow forward. You said it so well, for your kids, great advice. So there's the printmakers community, and then I have Print Pathfinders, which is like another level where it's like, it's really in depth, where we're going to find that print path for you. You want to reinvent and like kind of just, not your whole life, but you want to get direction and live it and what fits you.
Yes.
That's what that does. And
like
that's
a floor plan for a house.
Bingo.
I love that. I think why wouldn't we do a floor plan for our lives? And I also
and let me just say this because, and that's why it's important, because you're going to spend time's going anyway. It's already gone. You're never going to get it back. You don't need to figure out everything today, but you need to start today, or you need to start someday, because it won't happen. And you're living. Most people, I would say, it's the company, it's my family. There are all these other hands in their lives. And you don't just live for yourself. It's not about you. It's about what's inside of you. And the healthier I can be, the better I am for everybody else. If you're not, if you're shunning those dreams, then it also, this might sound harsh, I don't mean it that way, then it's not everybody else's fault that you feel the way you do, or you're stuck where you are for another decade because you didn't make the change you could.
Exactly. And that's where I don't understand when people always, they want you to inject, and I know they sometimes appeal like, how did you do this? Well, I took a step back. I listened. I looked within.
Yeah.
And so I do want to touch on, before we get in the lightning round, I want to touch on HBI Legacy. If you can.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So HBI was what my dad had started. It's HBILegacy.com. What I've done is, like, I'm a catalyst. So I have my ToddBoffo.com. It's like where I do my books and all my
so definitely go put Todd Boffo, and that's your updated one is going to be.
Yes, be launching a new site, super cool. They were able, thanks for AI, they can make me look good. Like, it got me looking like,
actually,
I'm like, look at this guy. I wish they had that in the 80s.
I got a sneak peek.
I would have been a hero at the shore. If I would have.
You should put a cape on your AI.
Yeah. Can you imagine me in the 80s with my radio and my AI face? I would have been like my gold chains. I would have been the man.
Box.
The boom box. Yes. Yeah. You young ones don't know what that is. Yeah. Wait, what are we talking about?
So HBI Legacy.
HBI, thank you. So anyway, it was a project where I'm just a catalyst, partnering some of these incredible people, projects. So for instance, the Thailand project, we partnered with them. I've been there. We're going back in January. We're bringing a team. We're looking for like January. Some could be medical trips and other things. And then even these mastermind missions where it's going, we're not even raising money for them specifically, but for people to go a little bit deeper and get out of their world.
I love
like you said, pull away. It gives a chance to pull away, have some fun. Yeah. So even Rwanda. So some of these trips where you go, you can hike up and see the gorillas we see on Instagram. Plus meet some, that's where they had the genocide in 93. 1 million people killed in 90 days, not from an external enemy, internally, hand-to-hand, just brutal. But they've turned the country around. So you get to meet some people. Like it's a very, and you see some projects that other people have done, and it awakens something inside of you that you can't do here just meeting. It's just like
I
another
love
level.
everything
So
about
we're
that.
raising money. So anyway, we have
HBI Legacy.
HBI Legacy. We have a project. We have money going into Thailand. We have money just coming in. We had like 350,000 that came in that's building houses for orphans in Eswatini. Again, it's not my project. I'm partnering with like great people in the network
I
because we have a
recognize
great
some
network.
of the faces on the website.
Oh,
which
did
are
you?
fantastic.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, that's
love
what it is, and so that's going to continue to be like that's not a moneymaker for me. It's
Yes.
the way of branding. Part of your print for certain people, it's like, what am I building that's leaving that legacy that actually changes people's lives? Certain
Yes.
people are built to do that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think we all are built to.
Yes.
To do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give your wife. She's going to like this part.
Okay.
It's a lightning round that you can only finish it in one sentence, so you can't use all the words. So maybe she can start asking you, Todd. You can say one sentence. Okay. So I'm going to say the first few words, and you have to complete the sentence. Okay.
Okay.
It's lightning round.
Okay. No, I don't agree with pineapple on pizza. It's not. Is that what we're talking about?
Do you
it's
like?
more serious.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bacon
go
and pineapple on pizza. Okay. Success is.
Doing the best that I can with what I have, where I am, and who I'm with today.
Love that. Legacy is.
I say legacy is living a life and leaving your print. So it's like this daily thing, but with a sense of purpose in the daily, not necessarily like the big
You're beyond a
Thailand
sentence.
plan.
You're beyond a sentence.
Yeah, well, you know what? AI will fix it afterwards. Go ahead. Sorry.
One daily habit that changed your life. Or that changed my life.
Stop eating 2 bagels with cream cheese and a quart of chocolate milk.
The best leadership lesson I've learned.
Being a servant leader, leading with love, and making people feel seen, heard, understood.
Amen. One thing I hope my daughter remembers about me.
Just that I loved her with everything, loved people, had fun, and tried to live the most authentic life possible.
You're gonna make me cry too.
Yeah.
If my life was summarized in one sentence.
Encouragement.
So, and that kind of aligns with this one. That's beautiful. I was thinking about one when I think of my kids as well. So when people years from now, they're telling stories about Todd Boffo, what do you hope they remember most?
Is this a one sentence or one word?
You can say anything.
Okay. I actually did an exercise, and somebody else could do it. I don't know if you've heard of this before, where it sounds a little dark, but it has for certain people it's good, where you write out your obituary.
Yes.
About yourself,
Yes.
and you're basically projecting what
I
you
did
want
that.
it to be.
I've done that exercise.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that, and so it's in a Dropbox, but just for me to reference at times, and it was, hey, that look, he lived a life that loved people. When I speak, I work off of like 3 things that matter to me. Am I giving out really good information that people can take and help and grow?
Yeah.
Am I touching the heart?
Yeah.
That it's real and
fantastic
authentic.
at that.
It's not made up. It's authentic. And do we have fun?
Yeah.
And so those 3 things I think encapsulate me as a person and what I bring.
Yes.
So
100%.
those things that, and again, I'm just carrying a torch from what my parents did, and we're building on that. You mentioned this. I got to show my dad pieces of the website before he died, and he was so thrilled. And he got to say, "Hey, look, I'm so thrilled with you, your dad, your brothers, everybody. You've done so much more than I ever expected." And so again. I want to outplay the fact that I'm not the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
I'm not like, it's not the best look. It's really just, hey, I'm just me, and I care, and I'm just using what I'm really good at and trying to stay in my lane and fulfill that, do that the best I can, and run the race. Well,
I think you need to call all your teachers and tell them and have them listen to you speak, because anyone because your gift of gab is remarkable. So anyone in organizations looking to bring somebody in to speak, I think you can turn on a room and let every single person feel seen, no matter how big that room is. So that is something I think that anyone who's heard you speak would feel that of how you'd be remembered, and that is legacy. Is there anything, I know we've talked a lot and we could talk a lot more, but there is time limits on these things.
Sure.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you would like to add to today's discussion? I know.
No, I mean, I just want to encourage people, as you listen to these things, you listen to podcasts, you pull one or two things out today that helps you, and don't let it die.
Yes.
Work on it, like pull it away. And also, I mean, people at podcasts say this because they feel like, oh, you need to say nice things. I'm not just saying a nice thing because it's on brand for me because of what you're doing. No. It's almost like you could have been in the book too. Yeah. And so what you're doing is a great example, and because you're taking a leap and you're pouring it, and you have a good heart, and you're following, and you're good at this. I mean, your thing, I was like, holy cow, like she's really like, I need to do this better. Like I don't even.
Your podcast is great too. So Todd Boffo too. Look up.
But my point is about you for a minute. Yeah. Is that you're taking that step to live a life that's going to make an impact, and the truth is, it's not trying to sound corny, but the world's is going to be better because you made those choices.
Thank you.
And that little girl that was dreaming years ago is going to keep dreaming. You've wakened that already, and now it's going to be hard to stop it because God's going to open up more doors. And it's not just Renee, it's other people, because when you take a step closer, and you could be a guy, and it's not trying to sound flat, I'm saying there's more inside of you. Yes. And sometimes it's just one or two steps. It's one meeting or two meeting. And guess what? We get to live this incredible thing called life. So be grateful, have fun, make money, and help change people's lives, and love your family most of all, and God, of course. But,
and thank you for that, because I think you got me to tears. But it is inside of all of us.
Yeah.
And this was so much fun.
I just thank you for having me.
This.
Yeah. Sorry we went too long.
No, not at all. So I like to leave these with a challenge, and this one's simple. Is just one question for the listeners to ask yourself: is what print are you leaving on the people that you encounter today and in your life? Just sit with that, because success can open doors. I know a lot of us who've listened, or everyone who's had success in life, it opens doors as you work your way up the ladder, but it's how we love, how we lead and serve that becomes our legacy. So go out there and spread your light.
Yes, well said. Well said. This is great.
So fun.
Yeah.
At FlexCar, we know podcast ads are annoying, but not as annoying as car salesmen.
Sign here, please.
Never talk to one again with FlexCar, the first and only month-to-month car lease.
No! Submit to my extortion machine.
Insurance and maintenance included. Switch cars anytime.
Switching Bronco to Camry to tell you ride willy-nilly? Oh, no.
Oh, yes. FlexCar. You drive everything.